Hello. Today we're going to talk about Google Docs. I figured we're going to step away a little bit from AI and actually talk about something that's just IT related. So Google Docs have been out there for a long time, and a lot of people use them, and they have many different uses. And basically, it's a word processing app for those who are totally new to the concept, and it does a pretty potent job for the most part. It's compatible with Microsoft Word relatively well, and you can easily exchange files. You can create documents. Now it does have AI built into it, so you can do a lot of other things. But today I want to talk about something that a lot of people don't even realize, which is the immense power that Google Docs can have using their language called AppScript. And AppScript is something that Google has had for a long time. They haven't really promoted it much, except for the development community. And so a lot of people don't know that there is a very simple way to add a lot of additional functionality to Google Docs. So the concept of templates is not new. They've had templates for a long time. A lot of applications out there have templates. And the idea is that you have a template as kind of the starting point for a document. This way you don't have to start everything from scratch. You may have some graphics, you may have some text, things like that. The simplest example would be you have a company logo that you want to put on every piece of material that you create using Google Docs, and you don't want to keep inserting logo all the time. You just want to have it in there permanently. So you create a template that has your logo, has the fonts, everything is set up the way you normally would do every document, and then you just simply use that template, and you don't have to reset everything up every time you create a new document. That's the idea behind templates. So I created this template called Ultimate Google Doc. Let's go ahead and open it. When you open it initially, you can see that it doesn't have anything special about it. It's just a regular blank document, and just like any other Google Doc you would do using docs.new command, for example, which is something you can do to create a new document very quickly. Instead of going to Google Drive or Google Docs and then clicking on new and things like that, you can just type in docs.new and it'll open up a brand new Google Doc. So a little shortcut. But in my case, I opened up my Ultimate Google Doc because, as you can see, it's the same, but at the same time, if you carefully examine the menus, you can see they're the same up to this point, but there is another menu called My Tools. This is where AppScript comes in. That's exactly what caused it to come up with this. So I'll show you shortly the details behind this My Tools. It's a little bit more advanced, but nothing too complicated, so you don't have to be a programmer to be able to understand this and be able to utilize it. If you want me to share this document with you so you can see what I'm doing and do something similar or different on your own, please leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to share with you this document. With that said, let's proceed and see what you can do. So we can do the usual deal, which is just typing. We'll do the now is the time, and obviously it works like that. Now, another thing you can do in Google Docs is you can go to the Tools menu, and there is an option called Voice Typing. Okay? So if I click on that, and then click on the little microphone here, I can start talking and say something like, now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Period. Okay, so you can see here I was just simply talking, and it was actually putting the text in there. And even though I have an accent, it understands it pretty well and did a really good job. The problem with this approach, even though it's available to everybody, is how do you know what commands you can use? Okay, and the answer is you don't. Because unless you took the time to learn them, you don't know what this voice capability can do. What would be really handy is to be able to have a little panel that would show you what the potential commands are. And so under My Tools, I have this thing called Show Voice Commands. So if you select that option, it says it's running a script, and then that script actually comes up with the panel on the right here, and it's got this kind of cool looking font. It says typical voice commands, and it basically gives you basic instructions. There's a little bit of scrolling, but for the most part, you can get basic instructions of what to do. You can use punctuations like period, comma, exclamation point. You can do things like align things left, right, center by using these commands. You can change color by saying text color. Like, for example, I could do something like this. I can select this, text color red. And as you can see right there, it changed the color of the text to be red for what I had selected. And over here, it shows you what to say. You can also, clear formatting using the clear formatting command. You can remove bold or italic or underline. And so bottom line is you can use all of these commands here is what you can use with voice typing. But by having them next to you, obviously after a while you learn what they are and you'll start using them more and more. You already know them. But until that time, it's a handy thing to have. So that's one use, for example, for this particular panel and using AppScript with its own menu. You can always bring it up. Obviously, you can close it as well. And if when you need it again, you can always bring it back up again like this by running this little script. Now, because it's in interpreted language, as they call it, that means that it's not as quick as instantaneous. I mean, it takes a second or so to run, which is okay. Most of the time, it's not that big of a deal. But just so you know, it's not instant. What else can we do with this? Another thing I have here to show is says show my URLs. So a lot of times when you're working and you're working on different things, it's nice to be able to easily and quickly get to certain URLs. Let's say you have things bookmarked maybe, which is fine, but there's, bookmarks usually grow and they'll end up being, a huge list of different things, but you want to have like a short list of go-to URLs that you normally want to potentially visit and for whatever purpose. So over here I have some here. If I click on this one, it comes up with my website and in a separate tab, so I can close it and I'm right back to where I was. I can click on this to get to my customer loyalty page on my website. So these are the things that I frequent when I write emails and things like that, so it's convenient to have that. Then my new ITAI community called Smart Tech, which also you can join by following the link down below. If you click on that, it'll take you right to Smart Tech. So you get the idea. It's a very easy and quick way to get to various URLs directly from your Google Doc. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to look for any bookmarks. It's all right there. At the same time, I also have links here for my personal stuff. So I got these categories here. So if I want to go to my photos, I click on that. It pulls up my Google Photos. If I go to Instagram, for example, then I get my Instagram account right there with all kinds of stuff that I usually post. And then, of course, over here on YouTube, I can jump right to my YouTube channel. So the bottom line being, you can put whatever links you want, and it goes directly to your link right there, directly from this Google Doc page, as easily as that. What else can we do with this thing? Also, a lot of times I want to be able to drop my logo in there. The problem is my logo is pretty large. So I got it set up so it drops it in here by selecting it from this menu, but it makes it half size. The actual file is twice the size. So this particular option, not only does it insert it at current position in the document, but at the same time it makes it half size of what it normally is. And of course I can still click on it, make it even smaller or larger if I wanted to. But the idea is you can actually not only put content in your document, but also you can automatically size it to a certain size if you want, so you don't have to do it manually. Another thing I set up is option called OpenAI Chatbot. Now that we live in the world of AI, a lot of times I want to go to ChatGPT and ask something, or go to Claude. So I have this little window that opens up, and I click on ChatGPT, and there is my ChatGPT. And if I click on Open Claude, it'll open up Claude. So I can then start typing and doing what I need to do. Again, when I close it, it goes right back to here. So I could add as many things here as I wanted to, but just wanted to show you a little example with just two of them. And then the last option I'm going to show you is insert Gamma link. Gamma is one of these really, really useful presentation tools that I have and use for AI, and I highly, highly recommend it. And so I have my link here, my affiliate link for Gamma. And my affiliate link, the way it works is when I share it with somebody, if they sign up for Gamma, which is, they can sign up with a free account, they don't have to get a paid account, they actually get an extra, I think they get extra 200 credits to use for their presentations. And typically presentations eat up about 40 credits each. So you basically have 5 presentations or websites you can create for free. And so that's why I usually tell people use my link, because you're going to get some extra stuff this way. And it just inserts right here. If I'm doing a document and I want to put in my gamma link, I just click on that and you can see it puts in custom text. And then also it's actually linked to my link there, which goes right to the gamma page right there. The reason I'm showing you this is because you can do many different things, as you can see, using these menus. And now let's actually look at the little more complicated part, which is how do you set it up. Because obviously I set it up for myself, you'd want to set it up for yourself. And so under the extensions menu, you have an option called app script. That's the language I was talking about. And if you jump into it, you will see something that looks like this. So this is where it gets a little bit scarier for people who don't program, but it's not that bad. So the idea being that if you open my stuff up, you can then easily go and fix it. Case in point, you can see right here it shows some of these commands, but you can see it says create menu called My Tools, which is exactly what I have in the doc. It's called My Tools. And then it says add item, and it says show voice commands, and then it's got basically name of the function it should execute called show sidebar. And if we scroll down here, there is a function called show sidebar. And you can see all of these are very small. They're not very difficult at all. You do need to know what these commands are in terms of using them, but not from a standpoint of actually coding. You can just copy what I have. So in my case, show sidebar just simply says, do this. And it says, basically says, create it from the file called voicecommands.html. And as you can see on the left side, there is a file called voicecommands.html. So if we click on it, you can see it's got all this code in there. And if you examine it, you can kind of figure out what it does. But if you don't want to do that, this is, HTML. It's got all these weird tags, as they call them, and things like that. So if you don't know any of this stuff, then simply leave a question what you'd like to do similarly in the comments below, and I'll be happy to show you or create a piece of code for you for your specific need. But basically, just you can see that this one is a little bit more involved, but it creates what you saw in that panel. And there are some other functions I have, like show my URLs. It says show sidebar URLs. So if we try to find show sidebar URLs right here, let me make it a little bit bigger. You can see that it's just basically 4 lines. Okay, and it shows you exactly what to do, and it pulls it up from this file called panel_URLs, and this file is right there, and it's got all this HTML code. So not the simplest thing to do. If you don't know how to code, this would be a little challenging for you. So that's why what I would recommend is, if you like these options and you want to use them for your own purposes, let's say you want to insert your own logo. So in my case, I have this thing called function insert PCS logo, and it's got all this code in there. Well, as you can imagine, the code itself is actually very small. I mean, there's very few lines you need to do to insert the code, and I'm using this particular URL here to grab the image that I'm trying to put up. You just simply replace it with your own image. So you leave everything exactly as it is, but you replace it with your own image. So that's the first thing you do. Second thing you do over here, it says, it's got this piece of code here that says resize down by 50%. What I mentioned about making my logo smaller. So basically I'm saying take the width, take the height, divide it by half, 50%, and then set the actual image to be that size. That's all it does here. But if you don't want to resize your image, all you do is just delete these lines right here, and it's not going to resize whatever image you insert. But you can have the same function written for insert this, insert that, and you can insert whatever images you want to insert, and you can have as many of these things as you want. Similarly with my gamma link, the code is right here. So in other words, you can kind of look at it to figure out what to do. But again, if you have some specific questions, if it's too much for you, just leave a comment below what you'd like to be able to do, and I'll be happy to help you out with that. So that's what actually drives the entire thing behind the scenes in this document, to create this menu and provide this kind of functionality. Okay? With that said, I hope it gives you some ideas about some of the things you might want to be able to do in addition to just typing text and inserting pictures. Something that you want to have available in every document. I mean, right now, All I have to do is save this as a different document name, and now I have another basically document from this initial template that'll have all this stuff. So let's say if we wanted to save this thing as test doc. Okay, so we just rename it, and now it becomes test doc. If we get out from here, and if we go back to Google Drive and refresh the Google Drive, we see that now we have this thing called test doc. There is no ultimate doc anymore, it's the test doc. And if I double click to open it, it'll have my logo in there, and now is the time, everything else, because this is what I left it with. So now is this template now has all this content. So I would recommend setting up the template not to have anything in it to start with, but having this menu that has the commands that you want to have that'll execute and give you whatever functionality you're looking for. That's the idea behind this thing. With that said, I think this is pretty much it. I hope you found this useful. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And until next time, I'm still Oleg.